So, speaking of, actually, it's a segue that's never going to work. You've also been playing Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, because it was going to be like a really convoluted gas-powered games, sort of like Kickstarter segue thing, but it got out of hand before I'd even started saying it. So,
yes, I've actually been playing a thing called ForgedAllianceForever, which is a mod for Forged Alliance, and it exists because the only way to play Forged Alliance online was before it came to Steam late last year, I think it was. You had to go through gpg.net, which is a matchmaking service that Gaspar had made.
Yeah, those things are never a bad idea.
Yeah, it was a bad idea even at the time. But in particular, like, it was sort of all controlled by THQ. Like, if they wanted to update the game, it had to be approved by THQ. And it ended in a really awkward way where they made a new patch that fixed a lot of serious balancing issues, and then THQ never approved it. Like, they just sort of their budget ran out, or their ability to care about this game ran out. And so there's this patch waiting to go live, and the community's played it in beta form, and it works, and they like it, and all the changes they agree with. But it can't be, it's not on GaspowerGames.net because THQ never approved it, so it's not official. And that means half the community is playing the balanced version, and then the other half are playing the latest official version, because that means they can use the network, the matchmaking thing. And of course, like, it never got updated again after that. So Forged AllianceForever was a thing that, like, I'd heard about it and I didn't really bother with it because I kind of assumed it couldn't possibly work because it's supposed to patch the game to the latest, that good patch that Gaspower Games made. Take it a bit further than that and patch it with community suggestions and other things that they found in balance since then. Make it completely replace Gaspower own networking thing with their own matchmaking system that also incorporates true skill and proper matchmaking, which GPG.net actually didn't have. It was just a sort of way of finding games. It didn't actually match you with people with the same skill level. Integrate like an online map vault where you can download all community maps. You can watch replays of games that are happening right now. Like, you can just jump into a game and watch the game up until that point in fast motion, if you like, or in real time. And then when it gets to the point that they're currently playing, carry on watching it live.
What?
And like, that can't work. It does. It works perfectly.
Wow.
Completely seamless. You can just look at a list of like, oh look, like 25. That's the other thing, is like loads of people are playing it all the time. Like 25 people are playing. 25 different games are going on right now. Like this one's like a 12-player epic match on an 81-kilometer map. And I just double click on it, and they're like 15 minutes in. So I fast forward through those 15 minutes and watch all these like massive wars going on. Then I get up to live spectating and watching like pro players have this incredible, spectacular war.
That's crazy. Who's responsible for this? Who did this?
The community, that shadow entity, doing amazing things. So it's
Jesus.
It's really interesting. One of the games I watched was between. I don't think this was live. I think this was in the replay vault because it also stores all these games in a massive archive. So if you hear. I was reading like the forums where they're discussing balance changes, and so they launch a patch and then they talk about, is this working? Should we change this? Should we make Monkey Lord more expensive or whatever? And then they work those changes into a beta and then have the community kind of test that. That's the other thing, is you can switch seamlessly between their community patch, the last official gas-powered one, and also like 12 different mods. And it never replaces your installs. You never have to uninstall anything. You just double-click whichever version you want to play right now, and it will seamlessly launch into that. And it doesn't matter which of those things that any of these replays were played in. Like, if they're played using these really obscure mods, it will automatically download and load those. If you don't have the map, it will seamlessly load in the map before you join. It's just incredible. It just works.
Good job, the community.
Yeah, whoever the hell you are. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I was reading the forum where they discussed balance changes, and I saw like... There was heated disagreements, as there always are. I kept seeing the same names come up, and one guy was saying, like, this player had opposed his suggestion, and he was saying, oh, man, I thought you'd agree with this, because I saw your game on that map last week, and you got totally owned by this thing, so I thought you'd want it nerfed. And so I was able to like type that guy's name into the replay vault and find the game he's talking about, and then watch it happen. And as they're playing, because he's obviously one of the guys who helps do the patches and, one of the shadowy community. That game actually turned out to be a balance testing game where as they were playing, they're discussing, okay, I'm doing this to you now. Is this overpowered? Does it help when I do this? But so you can like, it's really weird. It's because you'd never get that with a developer. Like, you'd never sort of join a Blizzard game and watch Blizzard people discussing StarCraft balance and saying, yeah, bailings are just bullshit right now. We're totally screwing this up.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I without jumping the gun, like I've been playing Heart of the Swarm. It's kind of what I was consuming most of my time recently, and I've been really impressed with the way they've kind of rethought game replays and things. It's interesting to hear a different angle on the same thing. Like, have you played with the Heart of the Swarm?
I haven't played with it yet, but I was bitching to Rich that I was watching all these MLG matches and they kept crashing out and there's all networking problems, and they seem to be really common to have networking problems at professional StarCraft tournaments. But Rich was saying now that they can, even if a player gets dropped, they can load the replay in and then go up to where they were.
They now have like a resume button on lost matches, but it means you can also load any replay you've ever had and jump in as any of the players at any point in the match. Like, and you even get it, like I was playing 3v3s last night with myself, Rich, and Martin Gaston from GameSpot, and we were, after each match you get a kind of like load replay house party, and all three of you load the replay at once, and then the three of you can like, we could say like, could we have beaten ourselves from this point? Like, jump into the other team and try and beat, and then the AI will just take over for you based on what you had at that moment. Right. Kind of awesome. Like, seems like really good replay features are how you balance a game quickly, or how you kind of give people the tools to really, really pick apart mechanics of that. It's really kind of cool. But I love the idea of being able to fast forward through a live game to that point. Yeah.
Like, you can't do that in StarCraft, I take it.
No. You can jump into, I don't think you can jump in live games at all in StarCraft unless they're part of the tournament. Right. I might be wrong about that. You can jump into any live any Dota game that's happening on the public servers and watch it, but you just go in at that point and you don't get you don't see what happened previously.
I like it with Supcom because I love playing Supcom myself, but I don't really want to play against people online because I'm no good. Like, it's when you play it at the really high levels, it's a fucking like brain melting nightmare. It's just, you must be clicking on every single thing in the universe at all times and managing like, every mass extractor on the map. And so I can never play at that pro level, and I don't really want to. Like, I don't think I'd enjoy it, really. I don't like it when it's super stressful and super time-sensitive. So it's good to be able to watch pros do it and see. There's just an amazing thing in the game I was talking about earlier where they were playing 4v4 on Seaton's Clutch. So it's this long diagonal peninsula with connecting two land masses, which probably means it's not technically a peninsula.
Isn't it just a land bridge?
Yeah, I guess so. And it was clear the bottom side were going to lose. Like, they lost two of their players early on. So it's assassination mode. So if you lose your commander, you're out of the game. But other than the things it kills when it blows up with its nuclear explosion, all of your units stay in the game and they get given to another player. So when one player's out, it's not totally like, oh shit, now we're only 3/4 of a team, so we're definitely going to lose, because most of his stuff gets inherited by one of his teammates. But one of the better players, I instantly had a favourite player in this match. I could just see he was doing everything right. Like, I love the way he was controlling the C's in the bottom right, and every time he was involved in any clash, he kind of did what I think he should do. And then he was there was still one commander left, and it was actually there was two, but the one that was directly opposite his patch of water that it was trying to keep control of was still alive, and he'd specialised in like naval and air, so he'd got like huge swarms of air superiority fighters, and they just go around this massive like black cloud just blotting out the sun. And then he started building strategic bombers, and the guy had really good anti-air, so the strategic bombers were going to get shot down if they just went straight there. So he took away all of his engineers who were assisting anything and had them all assist just one air factory, and then built the cheapest air unit in the game, which is a Tech 1 Air Scout. And with all of those engineers assisting it, all of his economy, he could build them in basically a steady, solid stream from the factory. And so you zoom out on the map, and there's just this solid line from his air factory to the enemy base, just of fighters being endlessly shot down by amazing air defense. And it just keeps them distracted. So that, at any given time, an anti-air SAM site has just fired its missiles at one of those fucking scouts that's on it. So when the bombers arrive, like half of the anti-air turrets are all unable to fire right then, and then they get distracted by all the endless planes going into their base. And it's awesome because it's a distraction technique, but you don't even need to time it, because you can just afford to constantly produce distractions at all times. It's like basically chaff.
It would really suck to be one of those pilots.
Yeah, luckily they're all drones.
Okay, that's all right then.
It's like poking your enemy with a massive metal sky stick. Constantly just going, no, look at the stick, look at the stick made of stealth jets.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I think I used to play quite a bit of Supreme Commander with friends, but it's never been the strategy game that I've clicked. It's never clicked with me. I think, and I think it's possibly because it's so. I don't know. I want to use the word loose, but I don't use it in a kind of in a derogatory way. Like it's mechanically, like StarCraft is super slick, right? Like, and everything, it's so well sort of honed at the edges, apart from when it's got little balance problems or whatever. But there's, I guess, less room for kind of crazy.
There's loads of units in Supreme Commander that are just better than other units. So it's like this one's just a better version of that. It does everything out there,
like
but
tier
way
1
better.
tank is better than tier 1 tank kind of thing, or is that?
I mean, what I was talking about was basically that there's Tech 1 and Tech 2 and Tech 3, and the new Tech 3 thing is just better than a Tech 1 thing. It doesn't have any disadvantages versus that. But there are a few units that kind of, it's a matter of debate in the community, but one of the things that big patch fix that Gas Power Games were trying to make live just before THQ stopped supporting it was that the factional differences are all quite small. They're all quite subtle. Like, they mostly have roughly the same units, and then each one will have like a gap at a certain tech level, or they'll have an extra unit at a certain tech level. And the Aeon have their gunship, which is usually an air-to-ground unit, also has anti-air. And for ages, it was brilliant at anti-air, and it was also brilliant anti-ground. And it just had no drawbacks. It was just the unit that was just good against everything all the time. And if you just build that, the only thing that can defeat it is just more of that.
Yeah.
And so they made that more expensive and slightly less effective. But it's still kind of, there are still units like that where there's still no drawback to that unit. It's just slightly less efficient if you're being exactly countered.
So do you reckon you will ever kind of stop? Like, is it just I guess for you from playing it like against AI, is it just an experimenting thing now, or is it something you're actually kind of building towards, like taking it online, or is it no interest? I know you don't like competing online, but
I don't try and get any better at it. Like, when I play, it's just I have this experience I really enjoy of beating AIs, and I do that, and I want it to be as hard as it can be without me losing. So I always want to win. I just want to like feel like I might lose at some point, but then ultimately win. And so the thing that gets me excited about it is always just thinking up new strategies. Like, I'll just suddenly think, oh my god, what if I just had like massive Tech 3 land army, and then tried to control the seas to the left, and did this with my economy, and because it has this huge menu of units. So like, there's just so many to think about, so many different options, and they are also really cool. It has this like physicality to it that I never got from StarCraft, where like everything is simulated, and every shot is individually tracked, and if it hits a mountain before it hits the enemy, then it doesn't hurt the enemy, and everything blows up with this really kind of satisfying force, and everything leaves a wreck when it's dead, and the sound design is just perfect, makes everything feel really solid and powerful and real. And it's basically just a constant stream of explosions, some of which are still staggeringly cool to look at. Even like, it was released in 2007, so I guess it was 6 years on now, and it's still beautiful. So yeah, when I play on my own, it's always just about thinking up a cool strategy, trying to execute it, sometimes encountering difficulties in doing that, but then when it works, just finding it incredibly satisfying.